that's an interesting, you made an interesting point though, where a lot of times people think that the movie you're making is you. Did you ever get that, Lloyd? Where people are like, well, obviously this person's a degenerate because they're telling a story about degenerates. Or maybe we just want to tell a story. I have a movie, The Bone Setter Returns, I made in 2005, where the Bone Setter, well, they misspelled the thing on the top of the box and it said the Bonester.
That's your side project porno, right?
The Bonester Returns.
I actually saw that. I picked it out because of that. I was totally disappointed because
there was much bone setting in it. But there's a character, there's a sheriff character who is obviously not a well-educated character, and he's supposed to look like an idiot. And he refers to someone as a retard. Well, people were all over me going, well, this person hates retarded people. It's not me, it's a character who does. And that has nothing to do with me, my personal feelings. It's just a character, and I'm just telling the story. I mean, that great Shakespeare book, what was that called, Troma and Juliet? There's a lot of violence in that. Have you heard of this thing? There's a lot of violence in that book, and I mean, that's not necessarily, maybe Shakespeare was a nice guy. Lloyd's actually a very well-spoken, intelligent person. I can dress when my wife picks up my outfit for me. We're not total morons, but sometimes we tell stories. We're not Mormons either. but we sometimes tell stories about people who are, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's us.
This idea of taking ownership of what you've done, and I guess that there's over the last decade for sure, there seems to be these lobby groups or these religious right groups or whatever who are saying video games are too violent and this that we should be holding directors accountable for what they do, and if they're going to affect someone in some way where they're going to be violent. I saw little Johnny saw a rape film, so he went out to rape someone. Have you ever shied away from ownership of anything? Have you ever stood back and said, what the fuck was I doing?
Well, what I think is, there's a reason there's more than one button on a remote. If you don't like it, turn it off. You can do whatever you like,
Yeah, that's great to be able to say that. I wish that we could always say, like, listen, turn off the TV, block the channel, whatever, But what's happening is that people are watching, and they're watching it straight through, and then they're complaining about it afterwards. Because they're probably not getting the message, they're just picking on the one thing, like you were saying about the rape, they're not looking at it being empowered. A movie like I Spit on Your Grave would, if someone tried to do that nowadays, Irreversible, when Irreversible showed here in Toronto, they had people like wanting to ban it. It was, I mean, anyone who's seen that movie knows that it's a horribly violent movie, but it's really great. And I went inside and thought that the guy getting killed with the fire extinguisher was a lot more violent than the rape, but that's just me, right? I was like, but for what you guys are doing, is there ever a time where you've put it out there, you've done it, and you get the response back from people, and you're going, shit, maybe they're right. Maybe I went too far. Bill?
I think that artists who say that they're persecuted by the law, by the press, are just trying to get attention, because I've tried to get in trouble. I had Jesus jerk off through the hole in his hand. I've made rape movies up the ass. Well, never raped up the ass, but I've made the past 3 movies, Breaking Her Will, Ravage the Scream Queen. They're all rape, horror, and there's no bubblegum ending, although that would be kind of weird. I wanted to show that rape is not something that should turn you on if you're normal.
Much more disgusting than this person, Forrest Gump, which has no graphic sex or violence. The message of that is, act like a retard, take orders, and you'll be a millionaire. Right? That's the message. Don't question the system. Just do what they tell you, and you will be a millionaire or billionaire.
No,
and
the system is not the enemy. That's just fake. If you're an independent person, be independent. I keep making more money every year. I don't try to be more than I am. My graphic design is amateur. For those of you who have metalheads, an independent movie should look like an independent movie. Pretending that you're persecuted is just gay.
Well, nobody pretends. That's not the point. The point is that the Forrest Gump, which won a lot of Academy Awards, which the mainstream media worships, was an evil film, far more evil than the stuff he's doing. Much more evil, because he got little kids watching that thing and getting a message.
It's unscientific to say what you just said. You haven't seen any of my films. How can you make a statement?
I can say it because Forrest Gump, I know. I've been around for a long time. There's nothing worse than that. There's nothing worse than that.
Lloyd, have you ever seen any of those films?
I'll tell you something else. The other part of Forrest Gump is that if you question the system, you know, if you're a gyno and you question the system, you get punished. You get AIDS, right? That's what that movie's all about. And that can be seen by little children on airplanes. That is far more evil than anything anyone has done in this room. And including Bill, and I probably have seen your movies. But
be martyred and then speak of martyrdom. That's what I say. I've tried. No one will attack me.
But are you saying that there's like all different kinds of levels of independent, that you are more independent than Troma, for instance?
I would say, because I think they're way more widespread. You know, they actually have real estate in New York as a Troma office. I work out of a doghouse, so. But I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just saying that I know who I am. I've been trying to get into trouble, but I have not been able to. And I think that the people who do say that they're in trouble or that censorship is hurtful to them, it's not real. Because I've tried to have every taboo
economic censorship. You suffer from economic censorship. You don't suffer from the media. The media is too slick for them. It's all about where they keep us out of, no matter what we make. You will make Gone with the Wind. They won't play it on American television.
But I wouldn't want it to be, because you, for example, and Rue Morgue magazine, The Gourmet, Rue Morgue was the first big magazine to give a good review to the worst horror movie ever made. And I think that the people who like my movies, who are very few in number, they would hate that everybody likes my movies. So I'm okay with most people reviewing my movies on IMDb, giving me a 1 out of 10. That's great, because the people who like the movies and who get them don't want everyone to like them. I am not capable of making a mainstream movie. And I think that if I ever made a movie that was liked by the mainstream, my fans would disappear. I would be a sellout. You know, so I'd rather have people like you, The Gourmet.
Keep it real, Bill.
Who understand it and who like what I do, rather than have people like from Fangoria who think it's just trendy and cool to like the movie. Are you from Fangoria?
I don't know. If you were given like 15 million to do a movie, what would you do?
Well, actually, I've just been offered $1 million to make a movie from a movie in New York. I'd rather not say the name, but over talking with them, they want changes. If I wanted to make money, I'd do something else. You know? But
you're going to turn down $1 million to do a movie that, I mean, you could do the worst movie ever made, just fucking sink $1 million into it, right? A lot of craft services, a lot of massage parlor kind of stuff, right? But
by the way, we had to educate Bill last night on what a massage parlor was. He had no clue. He had no clue that in Canada it is a total different ball game. And that's no lie.
The happy ending, you didn't know? Okay.
You didn't know about the happy ending. That's right. There's no happy ending in the States.
Why go then? Okay, anyway, is there